good afternoon, everyone. I have to say, Honorable Consul General Patterson, when I heard you talking about Pittsburgh, you could have substituted that word, and she was actually talking about Cleveland. And, you know, the city of Cleveland was an industrial powerhouse. It was one of the major cities that built America back in the early 20th century. And in 1930, our city was nearly 1 million people. And the region was about 1.4 million, the metro region. Today, our city has a population just under 500,000 people. But yet the metro region is about 1.4 million people. So where did they go? They left the center city. Many people look at that as a challenge, huge challenge. I view it as really an opportunity, and we're trying to right-size our city and correct some of the bad practices that were in place years ago. So on the green infrastructure part, you know, I was really happy and delighted to spend a year on a task force working, and we, many cities you'll see, and I appreciate Mayor Becker's reference to, there's such a healthy competition in the United States. Everyone wants to be the best. Everyone wants to be the first. And many cities in America have complete streets ordinance. We went a step further. We created a complete and green streets ordinance that deals with not only where you can have all modes of transportation be dealt with in an equitable fashion, but how do we handle our stormwater management? You heard Mayor Becker speak so eloquently about the precious resource that water is. And that water that falls from the sky is rainwater. It's water from heaven. It's full of nitrogen. And we shouldn't be sending it in a sewer system to go and be treated. We need to let it naturally repercolate and rebuild up the water tables. So I spent about a year working on a task force and help was the sponsor with Mayor Jackson on our Complete and Green Streets Ordinance. Within our infrastructure of our cities, we too have now LED streetlights, and in the next 5 years, we will have all LED streetlights. We're doing certain parts of our city right now. On the energy side, in 2008, I sponsored a resolution to encourage our city's administration. You know, the mayor's proposed, the council, I like to say, disposes. We control the budget, we kind of work with the mayors on policy, but I was really encouraging our city administration to create, and we adopted in 2008, an advanced energy and portfolio standard. Because nearly 100% of our energy that we were buying off the grid, we own our own municipal facility, but we weren't doing any generation. We didn't necessarily know where that power was coming from. We're starting to drill down a little bit more into it, but that policy said that it will mandate that 15% of our energy by 2015 will come from renewables, by 20%, by 25%. And I was so proud to hear the commitment of Hamburg. Our advanced energy portfolio standard does not include nuclear. We just didn't make it a part of that. We established, we've long had a grant program to incentivize housing development. And I'm a believer that when within government, everyone turns to government and wants something, right? Well, the citizens who are all of our bosses, they demand something in return. And so what we have done with our grants program on the housing side and on the economic development side, I'm also joined by Dave Eversong, who's our director of our Brownfield program in our economic development department. In our grant incentive programs, anyone who builds a new house in our city, it has to meet at least minimally green enterprise community, but we're taking it a step further. We built a year and a half ago the first passive energy house in our city. We're in fact right now going to be building a new, it'll be the first passive energy theater for fine arts performance in the United States. So we're incentivizing and encouraging people to do more when they do construction. We have a very robust energy efficiency program. We are going into homes because we own our own municipal facility, and we're doing energy audits. We're telling the residents, if you want one, we'll do it, it only costs you $50. And if you're going to hire somebody to do an energy audit, it would be much higher than that. Excuse me. But for that $50 investment, you will get a credit. So if you want to upgrade your hot water tank, your refrigerator, your stove, your lighting system, purchase compact fluorescents, or we're encouraging LEDs, you have already a $50 credit. And we're helping them do that. And we're retrofitting and doing hundreds of homes in the city of Cleveland right now. We are on a Great Lake, and all of you know the story of the Great Lakes, and it has 1/5 of the world's fresh water. We treat that with great respect. So we've been working with environmental groups and our local utilities to create offshore wind generation. In the next 3 years, we'll have 20 megawatts of wind generation in Lake Erie, and in the by 2030, we're going to ramp that up to 500 megawatts. By 2050, we have an ambitious goal of 1,000 megawatts of wind generation right in our backyard. On the transportation front, you know, transportation is so important. And when you say transportation, people immediately think of roads. But transportation is much more than that. It's the infrastructure that runs our world. It's the water lines, the sewer lines, the roadway, the electrical grid. And within our port, we have a port, and you're going to hear some amazing things from Los Angeles about what they do. But we've revolutionized, and now we're starting to share this technology with others. Green bulkheading. You know, when you armor those ports, the fish habitat have nowhere to go, and it kind of thwarts their growth and development. So we have done green bulkheading where we put systems in place where we have aquatic plant life and places for fish to lay their eggs and work. And it's been hugely successful, and we're happy to share this technology with others. I was so happy to hear Mayor Becker talk about the aggressive expansion of biking. You know, Mayor Becker, we have 5 bike advocacy organizations, and you know, when whether you're an NGO or an advocacy organization, everyone has their own agenda and they want something. So we were able to unite them over a year ago through a year community planning process, and we created what's called now Bike Cleveland, and they're all under one umbrella. The city has dedicated funding to that. Our Complete Green Streets ordinance dictates anytime we rebuild a road or build a new road that we're doing it for all, as I said, all modes of transportation. And on the transportation front, probably one of the most revolutionary things that's happening, not only out of our city, but throughout Northeastern Ohio, is we created the Regional Prosperity Initiative. If you want to learn more information, just go to neo-rpi.org. The Regional Prosperity is bringing together a 12-county region, over 4 million people, and we're developing a smart growth plan, but it's also going to have a revenue sharing component. We can't compete with one another. You know, this competition of luring one company from one city to the next city, there's no net gain for the region. So we're in a very comprehensive planning process to make sure that we do it in an equitable fashion. But probably the most, I think, revolutionary thing that has happened in our city really has spawned from the development of our sustainability department. In 2004, I approached our former mayor, and I said, you know, Mayor, we really need to have a sustainability office that looks at every aspect of what we do as a government. She goes, you know, Councilman, I don't want to grow government, I want to shrink government. I said, but Mayor, you don't understand. Early on, I guarantee in the first year we're going to save tens of thousands of dollars. And in the long run, we're going to be saving millions of dollars. She opposed me, so you know, as the council could do, I introduced an ordinance. At that time, we had 240 municipal facilities mandating that in the next 12 months, we perform energy audits on every single one of those buildings. She absolutely went out of her mind and convened her top cabinet to meet with me, and I said, fine, I have the votes on council. We go forward and do it, or I'll withdraw that ordinance. Let's create the sustainability office. And today, our new mayor has taken it to the next level, and he's elevated that to a cabinet level position. We have a whole staff. But out of that, and through this whole strategic planning process, and I'm really proud of our mayor, he said, you know, Matt, we're doing it on the city level, but it has to happen from others. So in 2009, we convened Sustainable Cleveland 2019. And the reason we called it 2019 is we mapped out a plan for 10 years, working to make Cleveland on the 50th anniversary, General Council Patterson, of Cleveland's river catching on fire, which led to the Clean Water Act in the United States, that we would be a more sustainable community. And so we convened stakeholders, the faith-based community, residents, business, government, and nonprofit. For 3 days, we had Dr. David Cooperrider, who came in from Case Western Reserve University and did the appreciative inquiry method, where the mayor said, all right, you're going to help us develop our roadmap. You're going to be the architect for what we should be as a government. And over the course of 3 days, we established these benchmarks. And each year, we set a banner year that we're going to work towards and then celebrate. Last year, 2011, was energy efficiency. This year, 2012, is all about local foods. You know, I'm thrilled that cities like Cambridge, Massachusetts, that's viewed as very progressive, set up their whole local foods policy and modeled Cleveland's. In 2014, it's the year is zero waste. So we're working with government, we're working with private sector, we're helping them understand how closely they can get to zero waste. If you want more information on that, you can go to cleveland2019.org. And then just lastly, you know, we have this amazing lake, this precious resource, and I heard Mayor Coleman talk about the Blue-Green Alliance. We have this tagline like that we say in Cleveland, and actually David Beach, a well-known individual, is actually copyrighted, so I'll throw it out there right now. But we're building a green city on a blue lake, and I thank you for allowing me to participate in this panel.